Hi, and welcome to my happy place. Today, what we are going to look at is we are going to look at turning the embroidery edge-to-edge design, using our sampler starter set. And this is number SS3. Yep, SS3. So when I refer to SS3, this is the design that I am looking at. It is page 6 of the Edge to Edge lookbook. So let's take a look here and see how we're going to convert that from embroidery, which this one is, to ruler work. And we're going to show you that next. The first thing we have to do is, and I am so sorry to say this, because I know some of you don't like it, but we are going to deal with math. Okay? I will make it as easy as possible on you, however. I don't want anybody left behind because of math. What this design is it is the same motif in different sizes. So once you get the basic motif down, shrinking it and enlarging it becomes easy. And let me show you how we're going to do that. Here is my paper. What I do with my paper and I start drawing is I try to set it up in approximately the size of the area that I want to fill. And I'm going to do this one to show you how we can use the connectors to fill it edge to edge. But you first need to know how to do this. So what I did was I took and made some measurements. And I noticed a pattern here. What the pattern is you're going to have, here is going to be 3¼ inch tall. Sure you can see that okay. We have to bring it down. There we go. And over just a bit. It always takes me a little bit because of the fact that I'm doing it backwards. You guys are seeing it the right way. I'm seeing it the wrong way. Anyway, it is 3¼ inches tall. It is 3¾ inches wide. Half an inch difference, right? So if we do the next one, what we're going to want to do is we're going to want to take the next size and basically keep the proportion is the same. The proportions, not the numbers, but the proportions. So this is a half an inch difference. It's a half an inch wider than it is taller. Well, the smaller one is going to be less than a half an inch, and simply because the overall is smaller. So the medium size I came up with is 2 inches tall and 2¼ inches wide. So on the large one, we have a half of an inch difference. On the medium size, we have a 1/4 inch difference. And here we're going to have an 1/8 inch difference. It's really a very small difference. We're going to go 1½ inches wide on this one and 1 inches. I'm sorry, 1½ inches tall and 1 5/8 inches wide. So if you wanted to make this even larger than this, what we would probably do is take a look. Say you wanted to make it 4¼ inches tall. So what we have at 3¼ is we have a half of an inch. So what we may need to do is go 4¼ inches tall. Okay, so if we want to go larger than our 3¼ inch tall by 3¾ inch wide, what we're looking at is The largest one that we have currently available to us is 1/2 of an inch wider than it is tall. The medium is 1/4 of an inch wider than it is tall. The small is 1/8 of an inch wider than it is tall. So if we want to go bigger, let's say we wanted to go 4.5 inches tall, and here we are 1/2 an inch, I would say we need to go about 3/4 of an inch because our proportions need to stay in. So that's going to be 4.5 inches by 5 inches. See, we've got 1/2 an inch, 3/4 of an inch, 1/4 of an inch, and 1/8 of an inch. So it just follows that the larger our motif is, the larger the gap between the height and the width need to be. So let's first start taking a look at how we are going to make this design. The first thing I'm going to do, and let's go ahead and make it big. Let's make it that 4.5 by 5 inches. I'm going to be honest with you, I have not done this before, so this is going to be interesting. We're all going to see it happen together, okay? I think that's kind of fun, personally. Okay, so I said 4.5 inches tall. And start at the 0, go to 4.5 inches. Now, what we want to do for our area that we're going to come across is just above half. So we're going to come just above half. Half of 5 is 2.5. So I'm going to go like 2 3/4. 2 5/8. 2 5/8. And I'll just put a dot here for a little. And that looks about right. Good. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at this. I'm going to take 5 inches. And what I need to do is divide that 5 inches into 3 equal parts. So if we divide it by 2, it's 2.5, but that's not going to work. We need to divide 5 inches, and here I use a calculator, guys. Don't make it hard on yourself. Use the tools. So this is going to be 5 inches divided by 3. That is going to be 1.66666. Okay, so that's just over 1.5. So in order to make 1.5 on our center, what we need to do is go approximately 3/4 of an inch and 3/4 of an inch to the left and to the right of the center. And that is going to give us 1.5 inches. Now what we need to do is do 1.5 here, 1.5 here, right? Actually, we're going to do a little more than 1.5 on each side because right now what we've got is we have 5 inches and we have subtracted 1.5 inches. So now we have 3.5 inches. We're going to take the 3.5 inches, we're going to divide it by 2, and that gives us 1 3/4 inches. So we're going to come out 1 3/4 inches. Now the one on the left, I like to keep just a little bit higher. And the one on the right, I keep just a little bit lower. So 1 3/4. Now, if we want to, we can move these two little guys out just a hair, just to make it look a little more even. You can adjust these for your eyes. That is just a given. That's easy to do. I'm going to put a dot on the top and a dot on the bottom. So what you see that I have is I have a dot at the top and bottom of my 4.5 inch line. I've come up a little more than half, so 4.5 divided by 2 is 2.25, and I just came up a little more than that. And then I had 5 inches that I wanted to divide 3 times. Because it's an odd number, it's not going to divide perfectly, but it's okay because we can make little adjustments. What you'll see is this first one, I put 1.5 inches, these two outer ones at 1.75 inches, and it's okay. Absolutely okay. The only thing that's going to change is that this shape might be a little skinnier. Or if you put it out a little farther, it's going to be a little fatter. But you know what? That's the glory part of this. You can make it the way you want it. If you want that center triangle to be skinny, let it be skinny. If you want it to be fat, let it be fat. Your project, you make the call on this, not me or anyone else. Okay? So now I think I'm done with the calculator. I'm going to set that off to the side. So because we came out here 1.75 inches, we are going to come down the same amount. So we're going to come down 1.75 inches. I do like to slant this just a little bit. So it's going to be kind of like right about there. Okay? And you notice I say right about there? It doesn't have to be perfect, guys. Does not have to be perfect. This is an artistic rendering of a design that's already been embroidered out. So there's 1.75 inches. So now I like to put these into an alphabet, so to speak, just so that you know the points that I'm talking about. We're going to make the top point A. We are going to make the bottom point. I want to make sure you can see this. There we go. Bottom point is going to be B. And then what we're going to do is we're going to come back and we're going to go C and D. Then E and F. And don't ask me why I go in this order. I don't really know. It's just the order I started going in, and it made sense for me. And if it doesn't make sense for you, use an order that does make sense. Okay? And here's G and H. So this is all we need. We do not have to put these letters onto our project that we're going to stitch, because we're going to know we've got the dots and we've got a cheat sheet here that tell us what those dots represent. And then what we're going to do is we're going to follow stitch directions with another cheat sheet, because those just work great, right? And we're going to be able to stitch this with no traveling on it. Now, with that said, if you want to start and stop at a different place, it doesn't change the travel directions. It just changes where you start and where you end. I will follow up with that after we get this one done. Okay? So you're going to know exactly what I'm talking about. We're going to go ahead and put that away. And what we're going to do is we are going to take out, oh, I already took one out. It's right here, our stitching line discs. And we are going to follow the stitch directions that I have already written out. Okay, they're right here. I will make a handout to go with this so that you will have all of this information. So the first thing we're going to do is we are going to stitch A to D. Whoops. And I need my 12-inch arc for that. I don't know what I'm doing with that one there. Okay, so here we go. A to D. And I'm going to, yeah, if I can pick it up, I'm going to use my spacing gauge. Okay. Oh, excuse me. I got a little cold going on, so hopefully I won't be coughing or sneezing in your ear. So we are going A to D. That is in that direction. Next, we are going to do D to B. Now, D to B is this beautifully curved line. So let's take a look. For this size, what arc is going to give us the best looking design? Well, for me, it's almost always going to have to be the 4-inch arc. So I'm going to go ahead, use my spacing gauge. I'm at D, there it is, D, and I'm going to come down to B. There we go. And stop at B. This direction. Now we're going to come back up to D. So I'm going to come around here. I'm going to let my 4-inch arc into here. And down we go. There we are. And now we're coming back up to D. So we've come down, down, and now we're coming back up. Now we need our straight ruler again. So now we're going to go D to F. And remember, if you want to start and stop someplace else, the stitch directions are exactly the same. And why would you stop someplace else? It depends on where you want to connect, where you want to attach your connector. Okay, so we've come A to D, D to B, B to D, and now D to F. And you'll see I'm going in that direction. Now we're going to come down to H. And there we go. Down we go to H. This is stitching in this direction. Now we want to come to B. And I'm not concerned about the shape as much coming all the way from H to G. My concern is getting to B on a nice, pretty arc. So I'm going to take my 6-inch spiral out and I'm going to, yep, that's the one I'm going to use. I'm going to use my 6-inch spiral because that gives me the prettiest arc. So it's a 6-inch arc, basically. So if you've got that set of arc rulers, you can pull those out and use those for this project as well. So I'm going to go H to B. And we're going in this direction. All right. You see it's starting to come to fruition now? I think this is a pretty design. Now we're at B. So what we want to do is we want to come B to C, just like we did on the D right here, B to D, only this time we're going to go B to C. If I could get my fingers around there. Now this time, because I'm using the 4-inch arc and it's a little more robust, what's going to happen is we're going to end up with a secondary design in here. And that's okay. If you don't like it, use something flatter, like the 6-inch arc, which would be this one. You can see how much flatter it is. If you made it here and here, you're going to lose about 1/4 of an inch. So you can do that if you want. Or go ahead and use the 4-inch. So I've gone B to C. Now I'm going to come back C to B. And using my spacing gauge, I always like to use that spacing gauge. I don't like surprises. And using the spacing gauge seems to cut down on those surprises. So C to B. We came up, now we're coming back down. Now we're going to take that 6-inch arc and we're going to finish this beautiful curved bottom. Remember, we're at B. I'm going to stitch over to G. Using my spacing gauge, over to G. There we go. Nice. This direction. Now I'm going to come back to E. Right here. There we go. And I'm going in this direction. Now I'm going to come back to C. Sure we've got you nice and so you can see in there. E to C next. There we go. E to C. Back towards the center. And now C back to A. And that closes this design. Oh, that's perfect. Okay, and C to A. And there we go. There we have it. Much larger, but we have the same exact design. So I'm going to write out for you the dimensions of using some of these different sizes. I'm also going to take a picture of this, stick it in there so that you have a complete stitch direction. I'll type it out as well. Remember I said you may want, however, to start and stop in a different place? Let's do that. Again, I'm going to take this big guy here. All right, I'm going to go ahead and this time I'm going to make him 4.5 inches tall, just like we did before. Again, using the bigger design. I want to make sure that it's all in the camera there. So we're going to come down 4.5 inches. And I'm going to go ahead and put my dots here. This is A. This is B. I'm going to come up about, and you know what? That was just perfect. That was about 2.5 inches. And I really like how that looks. So I'm just going to put a little dash right there. Okay, so I've got A and B in, and I put a little hash mark there at it's about 2 5/8 to 2 3/4, somewhere in there, wherever you think that it looks nice. Now remember, what we want to do is we want to take 5 inches edge to edge, and we want to divide that by 3. And what that ended up coming out as, what I did with it, you don't have to do it this way, but it's what I did. I came out 3/4 of an inch on each side, which is 1.5 inches total. So there I've got my C and my D, and my pen has disappeared. Okay, there we go. C and D. Now we want to come out 1 3/4 inches to E, and this is 1 3/4 inches from the C dot, and 1 3/4 inches from D. So I'm going to go ahead and move my ruler over, and we're going to put that little guy right here. Now this one I do like to put up a little way, this one down a little ways, and this is going to be dot E and dot F. And now what we're going to do is we're going to measure 1 3/4 inches down, and I do cant the ruler just a little bit on both sides. 1 3/4 inches, and that's going to be G and H. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pretend again, because you guys know I'm so good at pretending. I want to join these two, and I want the join to go from E to A. So, E to A. So what I want to do is I want to end at E. So I'm going to look at my cheat sheet here. I'm going to start at E and find my 12-inch arc. There it is. And my stitching line disc. Okay, so I'm going to start at the point that I want to stop at. So I'm going to go over and put my needle down on E. I'm going to use my spacing gauge, and I'm going to come to C. So we're going to just stitch from E to C. And then remember, we went up to A. So it's going to be C to A. Now we're going to go A to D. We are going in the exact same directions. We're just starting and stopping in a different place. Okay, and we're going to take D this way. There we go. A to D. Now we want to go D to F. D to F. F to H. I want to put this line in here. Make sure you understand the direction that we're going in. That's probably 99% of the battle, so to speak. F to H. It's going to come down. Now remember, we're going to come down to the B. And I used the 6-inch arc. This time, rather than use the 4-inch arc to get up to D and back down to B, I'm going to use the 6-inch so you can see the difference that the flatness will make on it. There we go. H to B. Now I'm going to go B to D with the 6-inch arc as opposed to the 4-inch arc. All the way up to D. That way. Now we're going to come back down. Oops, need that there so I can push that in a little ways. There we go. Now I'm going to come back down to B, and you'll see now how much flatter that is than the first one that we did right here. So next I want to go up to C, again using the 6-inch arc and my spacing gauge. Up to C. Stop there. And back to B. We're going to go ahead and get that just out just a little bit. There we go. We want to come back to B. Perfect. And we're coming down. Now we want to come over to G, and we're going to continue using that 6-inch arc this time. And up we go. My pen is trying its hardest to run out of ink. And we're going to go in this direction, get my 12-inch arc out. My foot is already there. I'm going to get it out here. And now I'm going to come up here. And that direction. So we started and stopped at E on this one. And let's go ahead and attach these two. And I'm going to use the black pen because I know that's got a lot of ink in it. And we're going to come about a little more than halfway. Well, actually, I think we're going to be able to do this all in one pass. Let me see. Well, close, but we're going to have to maneuver this just a little bit. So let me make sure that you've got everything in your field of vision. And up we're going to go. Now I'm just going to go ahead and twist that just a hair. And that joins those two motifs. That's it. It really is that easy. Just remember the differences. You want everything, you want wider than taller. And with the numbers that I'm going to give you, you could go ahead and make this gigantic if you wanted to, because now you know how to do it. So I hope this is helpful. Please don't forget, like, subscribe, and share, of course. This will be on 906 Quilting YouTube channel. It will be on 906 Quilting Facebook page, and it will be on Embroidelee by Me Facebook page. So I hope that you enjoyed this. I hope it helps. And until we meet again, let's quilt.